Right on time, because I'm right at the point that my name is on the agenda. So that's good. So coming around is some information that I'd like to share, and I hope I have enough copies for everyone. I'm not sure how much you want me to talk or what you want me to talk about. But the most pressing thing on our mind as educators and as leaders is our efforts to continue to deliver the kinds of services to our youngsters that we know that parents want and students need. To tell you a little bit about myself, this is probably year 43. I've been doing this for a long time, and I absolutely love it. I have a passion for it, and you don't stay around 43 years if you don't enjoy what it is that you're doing. My last 23 years has been as superintendent of schools in a variety of districts. And I'm excited to be here in Lansing because of the potential to continue to raise the level of student achievement. But I have to tell you that in my last 23 years, and most of those in Michigan, I have never experienced a time when the economy, number one, was as it is today, and the impact on education, it has never been worse. It has never been worse. And that's from our own household to the schoolhouse. We are under some incredible pressures just to survive. And that's what we're attempting to do in school districts. Survive. Now, I need to be spending 75% of my time on instruction and what goes on in the classroom, because that's a part of why I was hired. I spend 95% trying to figure out how I'm going to keep from cutting staff that work with children every day. And that is not a good experience. That is not why I was hired. And I'm treading water. I'm not making any success financially. All I'm doing is cutting. Let me give you an example. I came in July 1 of 07. That year, the first thing that I had to do as superintendent of the Lansing School District is cut $9.6 million out of the budget. Now, that was my first task. So I came in, reducing. Year 2, I cut $10 million out of our budget. Year 3, I cut $13.5 million out of our budget. And by June 30 of this year, I have to have a balanced budget that means $15 million cut out of our budget. Now, so that's over $50 million in 3 years. There are those responsible for funding education, that's the legislature, that we need to get their attention. We need to get their attention because they are not paying attention to anybody. Because Lansing is not unique. Every school district in this state is experiencing the very same thing. You know, yesterday it was Jackson. I think I see somebody from Jackson. And they eliminated, in essence, about 55 positions, and 30 of which were classroom teachers. And their budget deficit was about $8 million. So ours is twice that. So what does that mean? That we're going to lay off. Unfortunately, we're going to lay off May 6th in the neighborhood of about 100 staff people. About 100 staff people. Many of those will be administrators. Administrators that have the most difficult job in the school district. And that level is at high school and middle schools. The levels that we have the greatest difficulty becomes the level that we have to look at for reduction of staff. And that's only a small number. And then the others would be classroom teachers, and then those positions that are non-instructional outside of the classroom. And the question that we have to be asking the legislature, you know, how long? How long are we going to continue to not provide funding for children? And so I bring you information, but I also bring you a plea of help. Reach out. Call our legislatures. You know, we have this committee statewide. You've probably heard of it. It's not as powerful as we think it has to be. SOS, Save Our Schools, Save Our Students, Save Our State. Join that group, because we just need to marshal forces and step up and say enough. You know, we have had enough. If we don't, next year our $15 million deficit is going to go to $20 million. And it's just going to continue to spiral out of control. So that's one thing. On the flip side, there is a silver lining, and that is we are continuing to provide our young people with outstanding opportunities and education despite the financial situation. Recently, we were very, very pleased when we looked at the results of our MEP schools, which means despite the odds, our teachers and our parents are coming together to support young people, and good education is going on. When we looked at and we announced the results, you know, the first thing that we saw is for the last 3 years, despite the reductions, our student achievement has improved right across the board. A year ago, we had 2 schools with 100% proficiency at certain grade levels. This past year, or the current year, that's increased to 4 schools with 100% proficiency, and 18 of the 21 elementary schools